Why, hello, everyone. Hello. Well, your favorite YouTuber slash podcast host is back with a new video slash podcast for you guys. What is up, guys? It is James, aka Jimmy Pancakes 20, back here to do a new video slash podcast for you. And today is Monday, June 22nd, 2026. And we are continuing with our history videos. So if you guys don't know, this is a series that I started where I started with Halloween Horror Nights. Hollywood 2008 was my first ever Halloween event I ever went to. And I've been going to HHN Hollywood since 2008. And then for Not Scary Farm, I've been going since 2012. I also went to Queen Mary twice. I went to HHN HHN Orlando twice. I also did an event that Rob Zombie did. Stuff like that. So every year that I've gone to any event, I'm going to do history videos with. So for the first 4 years of the history videos, I'm only talking about Hollywood or Universal Studios Hollywood Halloween Horror Nights, because I went to Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood starting in 2008. So I already done the history videos for 2008, 2009, 2010, and we are starting with part 1 of my Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2011 history video. This is part 1. Then moving forward, starting from 2012 onward, I will be doing not just Halloween Horror Nights, but also all the events that I went to that particular year. So when we get to 2012, I'm going to be doing the Hollywood one. I'm also going to be doing my first year going to Not Scary Farm. Then 2013 is going to be, like 3 or 4 events that I went to, that I went to that particular year. So you kind of get the idea. I'm doing it year by year, and I will do all the history videos for that year before I move on to the next year. So I just wanted to let people know that's how we are doing it. But 2011 I only went to one Halloween event, which was Halloween Horror Nights. I was not alone. If you guys know the history with my co-host, my mom, Marsha, and speaking of my co-host, you know her, you love her. She's back joining me for the history videos for HHN Hollywood 2011. My co-host, my mom, Marsha. So, Mom, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
So, as I was saying, her history with Halloween Horror Nights, she actually went the very last night of 2008, but her first time going multiple nights was in 2009, and she's gone every single year since then with me. So that's why she loves doing these history videos with Hollywood, and then she also went a couple of times to Knott's, but now she goes every year to Knott's with me as well. There was only a couple of years that she missed. So just wanted to get that little intro out of the way so you guys know. Also, one other thing that I wanted to bring up really quick is we do not do scores for these history videos. We don't do a 1 from being the worst to a 5 being the best. We just like to talk about the history and talk about what the event was as a whole. I try to do as much detail as I can, like walking you through what the mazes were. Like the walkthroughs of the mazes that we saw with our own eyes and stuff like that. So for the history videos, we do not do ratings from 1 being the worst to a 5 being the best. we only do them on review videos. So just wanted to get that out of the way as well before we started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so now we got this whole intro out of the way. Let's sit back, relax, and enjoy part 1 of my Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2011 history video / podcast part 1. That's coming out today on Monday, June 22nd, 2026. So, Mom, your reaction first of 2011. This is your 3rd year in a row going to Horror Nights. We already talked a little bit about, your experience of 2008, and then your first full-time year was 2009. But this is your 3rd year going to the event. Do you think it improved? Do you think it was better? Your thoughts before we get into the actual details of this year's event.
I mean, I like this year, but one maze I didn't really enjoy. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But this year was really, really good. Surprised. When we get to my favorite maze, I'm going to talk a lot about that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm ready, James, right now. I'm excited.
All right. So, let's talk about the theme or slogan for this year. The slogan or theme for this year, guys, and I'm also going to pull up photos. So, for anyone that's watching on YouTube, I'm going to pull up photos. For anyone that's listening to the podcast, I will try to describe what we're seeing. But this is the official artwork for the event. This was also the artwork that was on the maps when they used to do maps back in the day, which I do have one. And if anyone wants me to take a photo of it, I can share it on social media. But what you have is it says Halloween Horror Nights. It has select dates, and what they have some of the mazes on there that we're going to talk about. The Thing, Rob Zombie's House of 1,000 Corpses. It has Scream. That was the theme for the Terror Trim that year, which we'll get to. And then, of course, you have Alice Cooper, which was a maze there. And then it has the slogan, What fear fears most. That was the slogan or the theme for this year. And the main icon for this year's Halloween event was Ghostface from Scream. Was he really an icon? After you watch all 3 parts, you might understand why people say, yeah, he was kind of an icon, but he kind of wasn't. But you're going to have to listen to all 3 parts or watch all 3 parts to see what we're talking about. But moving on from there. So the dates for this year's Halloween event, we still haven't started at the beginning of September. We're still starting at the end of September. And the dates for this year were September 23rd, 24th, then October 1st, 2nd, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, which the 9th is my actual birthday. I'm an October baby, so October 9th is my official birthday. The 13th, the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, the 19th, the 20th, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and then of course they closed on the closing night was October 31st, and we still haven't extended it to November yet. So there you go. And again, guys, I try to always look up ticket prices. Couldn't find any this year for this year's event. But Marsha and I do remember getting the 10-night pass to go 10 nights. So we did go a lot.
We did.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to talk about the first maze, which was, in my opinion, an okay maze. For people that are watching on YouTube, you can see the signage for this particular maze, and you can see the location. It's inside the House of Horrors. For anyone that's listening on the podcast, the photo that I have up is it's the official sign for the Wolfman maze, and and the signage is in the entrance of House of Horrors. So the first maze we're going to talk about is the Wolfman, the Curse of Talbot Hall. Originally, this maze was supposed to come in 2010 or 2009, but the movie got delayed, so it didn't come out until 2010. So they finally did this based off the remake of the Wolfman, starring Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins. So, your thoughts, because we did see this Wolfman movie before we went into the maze. So, what did you think about the remake of the Wolfman?
I really liked it. I enjoyed it. Really well done. Action-packed adventure. But, it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. What about you, James?
I really did enjoy it. I just wasn't sure how they were going to do it. I think for me, the Wolfman should have not been in the House of Horrors, because, the House of Horrors was still operating during the day, and then they were doing this maze at night, so they couldn't really change anything until we get to, sadly the House of Horrors closed down, and they went all out on this particular maze, which we'll get to, later down the road when I continue with these history videos.
But it was really good, but they should have put it in another location.
Yeah.
Because all the things from the House of Horrors were still in there. So this maze had to work around the House of Horrors.
Exactly.
So that's my beef on it.
Right. Okay. So, as we said, it's inside the House of Horrors. So, here's how the walkthrough went. As you enter, the first character you see is in the graveyard, and you walk through that you walk on that bridge. So it's the graveyard that's inside the House of Horrors, for anyone that doesn't know. And on your left-hand side, you see a victim with scratch mark on his face. Then where the Phantom is in the House of Horrors, there's another victim with a scratch on his face, and he's on your right side. Then in the vampire area, Nosferatu's area, I was trying to think of the word. You had another victim of a vampire in there. Or another victim of the Wolfman in there, not vampire. So he's like by the window, and then when you get to where the door opens, where he could pop out and scare you, that's where you meet your first Wolfman character. So you have the victim that was by the window, that was the distraction, and then the door that could swing open. That's where you met your first Wolfman character. Then where the two vampire brides are, there are two women as female victims with scratches on their face again. Then you go up the staircase, and where the Phantom statue usually is, they have like a different statue in there for for like the Wolfman character.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Um, and then stuff like that. Then you get to the second floor. It was changed to a kid Wolfman statue. That's what they replaced the Phantom statue in his red masquerade thing. They put a kid statue in there for the Wolfman maze.
Okay, I'm trying to remember that, James.
When you go up the stairs, Mom, in the House of Horrors,
right
there on the top is the family the statue of Family Opera.
Yes. Okay, right there. Yes. I remember now.
Then you enter the Mummies thing, and of course there's the animatronic, and then of course Wolfman pops out again and scares you. In the Chucky area, they had two little two children Wolfman creatures that popped out and scared you. One right when you enter the Chucky room in that little section between the two Chucky boxes, and then one where Chucky has the stuffed animal, and he would scare you, and where Chucky would scare you, or sometimes his bride would scare you there. Yeah. And then there was two, as I said, two Wolfman children. And then on that hallway leading to the bridge, sometimes there would be like a Wolfman character there too. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes a victim. It just depended on when you went. Then, of course, you go across the bridge. You're in the cycle thing. In the cycle area, there's the dummy of the mother on the chair. They didn't really replace anything there. And then there's a glass wall that is only open during horror nights. They would sometimes have an actor pop out and scare you before you got to the curtain where Mother Bates would usually come out and scare you. But this time they had a Wolfman pop out and scare you in that area. And then where the hanging bodies were, they sometimes had that door open for scares, but they didn't have that open, just the hanging bodies. And then you headed back downstairs. And then, of course, you have the Wolfman area that was in the House of Horrors. So it's pretty much the same thing. You go through the Vortex Tunnel. And then in the Frankenstein. And then when you get past the Vortex Tunnel, there are two areas because you're going down a ramp. There could be another Wolfman there, and then another one on the side, or victims. And then when you got into the Frankenstein lab, of course, there's more vampire or more wolf creatures. Sometimes victims. Sometimes there's an evil doctor there for some reason. And stuff like that. And then, they also have the Wolfman where Frankie was, that was pretending to get electrocuted. I remember that's in the movie where he's in the electric chair, and that's where he turns into the Wolfman in front of the doctors. So I can kind of see where the doctor character came into.
I'm trying to remember that scene in the movie, but I think I remember that, James.
He's strapped in the chair. Mm-hmm. And they put the helmet on him, and he transforms into the Wolfman.
Yes, I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you enter the final room with the giant butcher with the thing, but there's Wolfman, and then there's sometimes two other Wolfmans, and then as you're exiting, there's a child Wolfman that pops out and scare you, and then of course, sometimes there would be a chainsaw guy out there, or sometimes there would be another Wolfman outside for one last scare. And that was the end of the Wolfman maze inside the House of Horrors. So, your opinion, Mom, on this?
This one wasn't my favorite house because it really didn't work in the House of Horrors.
I mean, they did the best they could.
They did the best they could, but it did not work because a lot of things from the day House of Horrors was still in there, and I wanted like the whole thing to be the Wolfman, but it was okay. I mean, I enjoyed it. They scared me, but it just didn't work in the House of Horrors. That's my opinion. What about yours, James?
Yeah, I think for me, I feel the same way because, you and I would go to Universal constantly,
Right.
Back in the day, we were season pass holders, so we would go for the House of Horrors multiple times.
Right.
And, we just got so used to the House of Horrors, so we would go for the mazes in there, but I never really felt scared. Like, sometimes, yeah, they had new places that I wasn't expecting scare actors to be, but if you constantly went for the House of Horrors, you probably didn't get scared. Like, yeah, you would get scared, but you're, like, so used to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they tried their best.
They did. I wasn't really scared in that one. Like, when they popped out, yeah. But I really didn't get scared in this one. It was good, but it just didn't work in the House of Horrors. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. So now we're going to move on to the next one. This was in the old Western stunt show arena. The Thing, Assimilation. So if you guys don't know, this was a prequel to the original Thing. Now, you are asking me, what is a prequel stand for? It's basically what happened before the main story. So, this movie took place before the U.S. team found the base in the original Thing movie. This is the story of the Norwegian base camp when the Norwegians were there, before the U.S. team got to the base. So, just to let you know. So, sometimes what Horror Nights does sometimes, they will sometimes do a maze based off a movie that's coming out when Horror Nights is going on. So, some examples from previous mazes that did that. Dracula Untold, which we'll get to in our history video. That was an example of the movie was coming out while Horror Nights was going on. The Exorcist Believer, that's another one that kind of was like you were going through a live trailer before the movie came out. So, just things like that. So this was the same thing for this one because the movie was coming out the middle of the event, which was coming out October 14th of that year, 2011. So, there you go. So let's get into the walkthrough of this maze. The facade is the Norwegian base camp before the U.S. team got there. So as you enter two small hallways. Then you get into the first major room, which there were stairs on your right. Then there was a giant block of ice that was open. So if you guys don't know what it is that giant block of ice is where the Thing was. And as soon as they opened it, chaos happened at the base. So the Norwegians are the ones um, that opened the Thing and made the chaos. So when the U.S. team got there, everything was normal until the Thing decided to attack them as well. So you find out that the Norwegians are the ones that caused whatever happened to the base, and then the U.S. team got there and they were trying to figure out what happened.
Yep.
So pretty much that's what it is. So that big block of ice is where the Thing was. And then you walk around the giant ice, and then the first scare is to your left. It's like in a boo hole, and it's the first form of the Thing. Then you go through some more hallways. The guy standing at the window, banging on the window, try to get in. You know, one of the humans, or one of the team members of the base. Then you go down in the hallway, you see the Thing again in its first form. Then you enter a room which I'm calling the lab or the medical lab. As soon as you walk in, there's a person laying on the table, and the scene is the Thing has swallowed, is in the man's stomach, and it's being rebirthed in his stomach. So he's like taking over the man's body. So you're looking at that, and that is a distraction. And then over to your left, as a guy comes out and scares you. So pretty cool. Then you enter a room that I think that is a storage area, and you see the second form of the Thing come out from your right, and it attacks a person that you saw in the previous room. He hacks, and you see the base gain attack, and he comes out from the right. So basically, you see the Thing in the second form, and then someone else comes out, and there's these worm-like creatures, and he's pretending to be attacked by those worm creatures. Then you enter another room, which I still think is the part of the storage room, and it's really hard to tell, but there's a dummy cut up in half on your right that is a distraction, and then from the left, someone comes out from the third form, and he's being choked over by the Thing. So it's like he's being choked by the Thing. Then you go down more hallways. You see another person at the window banging that scares you. Then you enter a room which I call the entertainment room. Because there is chess, there's a pool table, there's a small little bar, and on your left you see someone. Because the Thing has these creatures that are all over the wall, and then a guy with a beard comes out, and he's trying. There's a guy sitting on a chair on your left, and one of the things like creatures is on his beard. He's trying to get it off his beard. He's in distraction, and then a guy comes out from the doors with an axe, and he's trying to kill the Thing. So he's trying to stop the Thing.
Yep.
Then you enter a room which I call the communication room, where you see radio equipment, and there's a guy behind the desk, a radio pretending to kill himself with a knife because he can't handle being at the base, so he's like pretending to cut his throat. He is the distraction, and then there's like these different parasites. That's the word I was looking for. So the creatures that you saw on the guy's chin, or the one that the guy was holding, trying to pretend to not be attacked by. You saw those on the walls and stuff in the previous couple of rooms that I just mentioned. And again, they have another scare with another survivor pretending to fight off this parasite, trying to attack him. So they have video screens of it. Yeah. Then you enter some more hallways. There's a black portion where they're called backstage performers, and these are people that don't have particular characters, but they either wave something in your face, or they push these like giant animatronics out. Those are those people that I'm talking about. And some of them are waving stuff in your face, and you can't really see them because they're in the dark. And you just feel something that's touching your face. Then you go down in their hallway, you see the same person that's infected, that's now a half with two heads, so he's half man, half thing creature. The one that was on the table with the thing in its stomach, it turned into that. Yeah, and then so then you go into the morgue. Sorry, I lost my place, guys. Give me one moment. Yeah, so then, with the two heads and stuff. And then you enter a room which I think is the morgue, where you see equipment and stuff outside. Then you go outside, and one of the survivors is trying to get away, and he or she's in the snowplow, and they have a snowplow that comes out and scares the fuck out of you. And then you enter the tunnel where you see dogs. If you don't know, the thing can turn into different animals, so the thing turns into dogs and stuff like that. And then the last two hallways, you see the final form of the thing, and it's all just rotted and stuff, and they pop out and scare you a couple more times, and then you exit onto Western Street at the time, and that is the end of the maze. So, Mom, your thoughts?
Oh boy. Okay. I really love this maze. I saw the movie. It was really, really good. The maze was very well done. This is one of my favorites. I loved it. They scared the bejeebers out of me every time. Like the thing, the people, the actors. Very well done. Really liked it. And I wish they would bring it back to Horror Nights.
Yeah, I mean, all valid points. Yeah, I definitely think they should bring that back.
Your thoughts, James?
I would love to see another scene of the Thing maze, but I don't know what John Murray has planned for next year in 2027, because he's said on Twitter that he's already finished 3 of the houses for next year in 2027. I don't know what he has planned, but I would love to see a theme maze back, but I was really happy with this one. I had no complaint for this one.
Neither did I.
No, I did not. Alright, guys, so we're going to move on to our next maze, which was, I call it a copy and paste maze. Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. So, we're not going to really go into too much detail on this one, because it's the exact same maze that we saw in 2010. Pretty much it's the exact same maze that we saw in 2010. We're not gonna go through the entire maze again. You know, it's very much the same one. If you want to hear the entire maze, I will put a link down below to my part 1 of my 2010 history video, and I talk about the full maze there because it was brand new for 2010. It came back in 2011. Exact same. It was behind. It was inside the T2 show queue. Exact same maze. Exact same everything. It was in 3D. Really have nothing else to say about it. Again, if you guys want details of what this maze was, I will put a link to my 2010 part 1 where I go for this maze completely. So, your thoughts, Mom, on this?
Feel the same way. It's the South Things maze from 2010. It was good, but I didn't want to see it 2 years in a row. So hope they never bring it back because I'm done with Rob Zombie. That's all I'm gonna say. I just hope they don't bring it back through the years. And this was a good one. I liked it twice, but bring something new. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, they did bring it back, but many, many, many years later, which we'll
Right.
get to back in when we get to it. But
Right.
it was not behind Terminator because Terminator was gone at that point.
Right.
It was in a new location.
Right.
But yeah, for the 2 years that Rob Zombie's House of Lost Corpses was there, I loved it in 2010. I was like, okay, they're doing the same maze again in 2011. Okay, I'll still check it out. Thought there was going to be maybe something different with it. Nope, the exact same maze. So again, if you guys want to hear the maze, the full maze walkthrough, I will put a link to my 2010 history video part 1 where we go through the entire detail for that year, and it's the exact same detail for 2011. Or you guys could just type in my HGen Hollywood 2010 part 1. If you guys don't want to use the link down below, you can just type that in and you can watch that video if you want to hear the whole detail for this maze. So, that's what I have to say about it, and we're going to move on. Now, to wrap up part 1 of our HHN Hollywood 2011 history video part 1, we're going to move to the final maze that was on the upper lot. And this was located behind Shrek 4D. So, if you guys remember, if you guys have watched my 2010 history videos, when we got to part 3 on the Western Street, Um, they did the scare zone there that was called La Llorona. Well, for this year, for 2011, Mr. John Murray decided he wanted to expand on that character. So he did, for the first time ever, a maze based off La Llorona. If you don't know who La Llorona is, this is her, La Llorona, or she's better known as the Weeping Woman. So really quick backstory for her. It just depends. This was, it's in Latin America. It's in Latin America. Some other Mexican cultures is they believe in this, and basically just the backstory for this character is she married a rich guy and had two children with him, and he was having an affair, and she found out, and she took her children to. Depends on the story. It's either a river or a lake, depending on where you heard the story from. And she drowned her two children. And she also drowned herself. Well, she didn't drown herself right away. The father found out what she did, didn't want to be with her anymore, so then she drowned herself. And basically when she got up to heaven, they wouldn't allow her in because they don't know where her souls of her children are. So she's bound to walk the earth for all eternity, looking for her lost children. So that is the backstory for her. And they say if you hear her cries and stuff, she's looking for her lost children. She weeps a lot. A lot of times when people are by rivers or lakes, they have said that they've seen a woman in a white dress down by the river, and basically other information that John Murray had shared about this is usually a grandmother or a parent will tell the children that live in Mexico and other Mexican countries, saying that don't go out at night or don't be bad or La Llorona is going to get you. So that's kind of the backstory for this character. So they did it twice in Hollywood as a flammable maze. And then in 2013, my first year going to Orlando, they decided to do La Llorona again. And then Hollywood also brought her back in 2022 as a flammable maze, but it wasn't behind Shrek. It was in a different location, which we'll talk about in the history video for that. And then she was also part of Monstros 3 last year as one of the female characters, or the legends that they were doing for the female legends. So they have a history with
La Llorona.
Universal has a history of La Llorona. So,
excuse me, James. One correction. Didn't she wear a horse head? Did she have to wear a horse head?
yes. So in some stories that she was told is she had to wear a horse head for her crimes. So it just, as I said, it depends on where in the world you hear this story. There will be different
versions
of it. Mm-hmm. So there you go. So now let's get into the actual maze itself. So the maze was called Llorona Village de Amon Province, and I looked up what that meant. And when I did the translation, it's meant Village of Lost Souls. So it's Llorona
Village of Lost Souls.
Village of Lost Souls.
Okay.
Is the name of the maze.
Got it.
So, as I said, she was the fiend for the scare zone on Western Street in 2010. Then this is the first year that they
did a maze
for her. So the facade for this maze was a church that had two bells, a window, and an entrance. And what people have said, and you can look up this maze, you can find it on YouTube. So if you look at the facade for the maze, it looks like it's two eyes where the bells are. The window looks like the nose, and then the entrance looks like the mouth. So yeah. So the first room you enter is the funeral of children. We don't know if it's her children or it's just random children. That we don't know. And of course, they're dummies in these small coffins. And then, of course, there's dummies of people that are mourning. And of course, one of them that's staying on the bench is a live actor. She's the distraction. And then from your right is where Llorona pops out and scares you. So you get a double scare in that first room. So then you go through these hallways, and there are statues on either side. And I always love this scare. This gets me every single freaking time. Even though I've gone to horror nights so many times. They have like 2 or 3 actors that are dressed the same as the statues. So you don't know which one's a real one. You don't know which one's a live one. Gets me every single freaking time.
Me too, James. They get me.
Yeah. Alright. Then you enter a graveyard, and from the left, there's the horse head of Llorona, the one that we said where she had to wear a horse head, and that one's a stilt walking character that's in the maze. Then you enter the next room where you see a grave, and it's the way that I could describe this character. He's sitting on the throne. He looks like the Grim Reaper, but he's not the Grim Reaper. But that's the way that he looked, like the Grim Reaper.
Okay.
And then to your left, Llorona comes from the right and scares you. So he's the distraction, and then Llorona comes and gets you again. Then you enter a morgue where you see a half girl statue, and she pops out and scares you. And then you're still in the morgue where you're going to the underground, where you see these skeletons and bodies, and of course, in the midst of those, there are 2 or 3 live actors that look like that look like skeletons or dead people, and they pop out and scare you. Then you go through 2 black hallways, and then we get to the famous scene. You see her children drowning in the lake, and basically what happens is there's a bridge that you have to go over, and basically there's a projection of Llorona that pops up, disappears, and then she comes from the left. So it looks like she was floating in mid-air, she disappears, and then she comes from the left. But that scene is all activated by the actress that plays Llorona that comes out from the right, because she has a foot pedal that pops and that makes the whole scene go. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then the next room you enter the stables where there's hanging pigs, and a funny fact is these pigs have been used so many times at Horror Nights. They're famous, but they're known as the saw pigs. And then, of course, you have to go for the pigs, and the horse head Llorona pops out and scares you. That's what I was trying to say.
So the pigs are a distraction, and then she pops out.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You enter a small hallway, and again, there's another horse head Llorona that pops out from the right and stares you. Then you enter the stables, where there's 2 Lloronas that pop out and scare you, with horse heads again. Then you enter a hallway where you enter someone's house. And the first room you enter, you see a dummy of an elderly grandmother. There's a doll in the box, and of course Llorona is holding the doll, thinking that that's one of her lost children. And she's sitting on a chair, she's playing with the doll, and then she'll turn around and pop up and scare you, and then sit back down, which I thought was a neat scare. Yeah. Then you enter another hallway. You see photos of the family and stuff like that, and then on the left is a portrait of Llorona. They use this scare all the time, where you see the portrait of Llorona, then the light behind the actress, goes away. You can see the live actress, and then she can open the window and pretend to try to grab you, and that's always effective in all these mazes that they do. Then you enter another hallway that leads to a childhood bedroom where you see a giant Llorona busting for the windows, and originally when I originally saw this scene, I thought it was dummy legs, but then we found out, because we did watch a behind the scenes thing of John Murdy, and if I can find that video, I will put a link down below, if I can find it again, where he talked about that. No, it's the live, it's the actress's legs that are actually going in her mouth, so she's actually controlling the puppet, like going back and forth, like she's pretending she's getting eaten by Llorona. So,
but those were her real legs.
Those were her real legs. So she's the one that's controlling the puppet.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was dummy legs, but no.
Me too. When I saw that.
No, it's not. Then you go through 2 more hallways. Llorona pops out from the left and right, and then they have a character, an elderly grandmother character that pops out, and scares you too. So you got La Llorona on the left, you got the grandmother on the right, so you got more scares. And then that's the end of the maze. But you think it's the end of the maze. It's not. So every time that they have had a maze inside Shrek 4D, you have to go through, at the time it was the Shrek pre-show, but now it's the Kung Fu Panda pre-show. And they have these curtains up. So, of course, as you're going back to New York Street to get out of that maze, there might be one or two or sometimes three La Lloronas that are there that are the one last scare, and then you're officially done with the maze. They did that with Freddy when he was there.
Mm-hmm.
They did it with Mighty Bunny Valentine where the miner was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that is the official end of the maze. So, your thoughts on this one?
I really like this one. Very, very, very well done. They got me every time. I don't know if I was the lead, James, or you were the lead, but
we would switch on and off.
Yeah, but really, really well done. Really liked this maze. Scared the bejeebers out of me. But I wish, I wish they would bring it back, but we had a lot of Latin American ones already. But this one was very, very well done. The actresses were on their game. Scared the bejeebers out of me. And this was one of my favorites this year. What about you, James?
I gotta say, this one was pretty good for the first year of them doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really good. Yeah, like at the end, in part 3, I will tell you my favorite maze of the event. I will tell you my least favorite maze. And then talk about my favorite scare zone as well. Probably Marsha will do the same. After we get everything done at the end of part 3, we'll tell you what our favorite maze was for that year, our least favorite maze, and our favorite scare zone. So, alright guys, so this is going to wrap up part 1 of our Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2011 history video / podcast. So if you guys do follow me on social media, you guys do know that I did post that today, Monday, June 22nd, 2026 was going to be part 1 coming out. Then tomorrow, which is Tuesday, June 23rd, is when part 2 will be out. And then on Wednesday, June 24th, is when part 3 would be out. And then later tonight, around 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you guys have been voting for a whole week, and I'm going to announce the winner of what will be my next food review coming sometime this week, or early next week. And then that movie review of Sinners, I'm currently in the process of editing it, so that will be coming out hopefully soon as well. But just wanted to wrap up this video. I wanted to thank my co-host, my mom Marsha, for joining me again.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure.
And would you like to tell them what your social medias are? Would you like me to?
My social media is Marsha Fan 1960. I'm on Twitter,
Or Twitter formerly.
known as X, and Instagram.
Right. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, in case you were confused, my co-host, my mom Marsha's social media sites are X, formerly known as Twitter, and on Instagram, and her username for both is MarshaFan1960. If you want to follow me, your host, James, aka Jimmy Pancakes 20, you can follow me on Facebook, on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and I also post on the YouTube post page on my YouTube channel. So that's where you'll get all information of what events I'm going to, if videos are canceled, if videos are delayed. Please follow me on my social media sites because that's where you're going to get the latest information of videos that I'm doing on YouTube, podcasts, events I'm going to, and stuff like that. So please follow me on any of those social media sites. And my usernames are different on all of them, so it's hard to say which ones they are. Some of them are Jimmy Pancakes 20. Some of them are Jimmy Pancakes 20 Show. So that's why I said always look at the link down below so you guys could follow me on any of the social media sites that you use. And as I said, follow me on all the social media sites. That's where you're going to get information about what's going on with my YouTube channel, podcasts, events that I'm going to, any daily stuff that I like to share on social media. So that's where you're gonna get all that information. So just wanted to let you guys know. So we will see you guys tomorrow, Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026, for part 2 of our Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood 2011 History Reveal Part 2. And in Part 2, we are going to finish up with the Terror Train for that year, which I have a lot of opinions to talk about, and the two mazes downstairs, which one of them we both enjoyed, and the final one we did not like, so there's going to be a foul language warning on that one, but when we get to that video, you'll see what we are talking about. So until then, have a great rest of your night, day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this video on YouTube or listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcast, or Podbean.com, or the official app. I was your host, James, aka Jimmy Pancakes 20, signing off, and we'll see you guys for part 2 coming tomorrow. Bye-bye.